Hello and welcome. Today we want to do question 15 of the October-November 2022 paper. Question 11 to 14 have been done in the previous videos. So we are going to create the report. Using fields from both tables, produce a tabular report that selects the records where yard name contains the text sun, group is blue or red, contains a new field called new points, which is calculated at runtime to multiply points by handicap. Format this field to display as an integer. Shows only the fields skipper name, YOB cell, number, yard name, make, yard class, group, handicap, points, and new point in this order with data and labels displayed in full. Do not group the data. So when we are creating a report, we know that we have to start by creating a query. And a query starts from where it says shows only fields. So the moment we see this point where it says shows only the fields, that's where the query starts going upwards. Okay, so we are going to start by doing the query. And then when we are done with the query, we use that query to create the report. So from shows only, we are going to start there going up. It's how we are going to create our query. Okay, so when we go into our database now, we are going to say, okay, now we want to do another query. What we have already is the query and the report for question 14. So we are going to go on, also add a new query that we want to create. Okay, so we go through the same process that we did with question 14. And we now pick. Remember, we said when we are creating a query, we use original tables. This is a new query for a new report. So we don't take fields from the previous query. For example, if we click on this down arrow here, it's going to show that we have table, and a query. This is the previous query we created for our number 14 question. So now we have to make sure that the fields we're going to pick, they are going to come from the original tables, class and skippers. Okay, so we go back to our question paper and then we pick now the fields that we are supposed to select. So we have skipper name, YOB, cell number, skipper name. So we can scroll down to look for the field. If we don't find it, it means that it's in another table. So we click the other table to find the field. So skipper name, YOB, and then after that, we have cell, yard name, make, cell, yard name, make, cell, yard name, make, yard class, group, handicap, yard class, group, and handicap. We are not seeing yard class, so we are going to go to the other one. Yard class, group. There is no group, so we go back to skippers, yard class, group, and handicap. After handicap, yard name, make, yard class, group, handicap, points, and new points in this order. Okay. After handicap, we have points and new points. But for new points, now we have been told that for new points, it's actually a new field called new points. So we don't have this field called new points in both our tables that we have currently. So what we are going to do is we have to move on now to this point where we are supposed to find out the calculation. How are we going to bring out new points? So we are going to go to this point and then read. Contains a new field called new points, which is calculated at runtime to multiply points by handicap. Okay, format this field to display as an integer. So this is called a new calculated field. So we are supposed to add it. So how do we add this? We go back to our query wizard, and we are not able to edit here. We have to finish the query and then we then edit. So next, we are not giving any name there. We can say finish. So this is the query. It only has, or it has extracted only those fields that we want. It's just that we don't have the new points here. So we need to add the new points after we have extracted the fields that we want from the tables that we already have, right? So we are going to go into our home, go to design, and then when we go to design, we are going to go to the last column where there is nothing like here. So this is the list of the fields that we have. And then on this part here, we are going to click there and drag outside to create space. So we are going to use the simplest method of adding this new calculated field. The method is just going to be like, you put the name of the calculated field, you add in a colony. After adding in a colony, you then write the calculation after, okay? So you put the name of the calculated field, you put a colony, and then you put the calculation that the question paper has told you. So the name of the new calculated field that we are going to create is called new points. So you're going to type this as it is. So I'm just going to copy, since I'm using a soft copy, I'm just going to copy and then paste. Then when I've given now the name of the new field, it's just writing in plain text the name of the field that you have been told, and then you put on a colony, right? After the colony, now you put the calculation that you want that field to give you, all right? So the field is supposed to give us a value that is going to come after multiplication of points. So points is actually a name of a field that we already have. So we type it as it is, points multiplied by handicap. So if we're multiplying, we're just going to put a asterisk, okay? So we are going to say points multiplied by, you put that star, you are multiplying it by handicap. So you can actually see that these are the fields that we have. So for you to avoid writing the wrong spelling, you can just drag down so that you can actually see the name and then you type it exactly as it is. So handy, okay, like that. So you're multiplying that by that. And then when you are done, now you can run your query, okay? So in your query design, we have this option to run, and when you run it, it's going to give you the new points, okay? So this new points is now a field that has come out after the multiplication of handicap by points, okay? So we can go back to our design. We can go back to our design view. So when we go back to our, you can see that this is now ticked. We didn't tick this, but automatically it was ticked so that it can appear. But if it doesn't appear, you check if this checkbox to show the field is ticked. If it's not ticked, you just tick there and then you can see the field appearing. Then the field, as we can see that the field is coming out with decimal places, we would want to have that field come out as an integer that with 0 decimal places, okay? So when we run, we can show this up again. We can see that we have these fields, these values, and they have a decimal point, okay? So we just want to make sure that they are integers. So we will go back to our design and we make sure that our cursor is in there. And then we then choose to say, how many decimal places do we want? We want 0 decimal places. And we want it fixed, that we don't have any, we have to just make sure that we don't have any other decimal places that are going to appear. So that's how we change it. Okay. And then that's for the new points. And then for group is blue or red, we go under group and then we put that criteria, blue or red. So under group, under criteria, we are going to say blue. You just type it as it is, blue or red. And then to test, we can always click on the design and we run. So when we run, we will see that the records that we are going to have here are going to reduce. We now have 1 of 210. This is the number of records that we now have currently. So the other ones have been removed because under group, we only want to see either blue or red. Okay, so if we scroll down here, you can see that we have blue, 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 and at the end we have red. So if either you are blue or red, that's when we are going to just have this record selected. Then our new points again, we can see that they are actually integers. Those decimal places have been reduced by making sure that we have 0 decimal place, 0 on decimal places, and fixed to make sure that we are fixing everything to that type of format that we have selected. And then we go on with the question paper. It's now saying yard name contains sun. Okay, so when we see the word contains, it means that under yard name, we don't care what is before or what is after the word sun. It just has to contain the word sun. So for us to write that we are using the wildcards, the asterisk is the wildcard, to say the star means I don't care what is before. If we put it after, we are saying I don't care what is after, as long as it's going to be wrapped in sun. So we're going to say star, sun, star. Okay, to say whatever before the word sun, whatever after the word sun, as long as sun is included. Right, so we are going to go under yard name, back to our design. Under yard name, we are going to put our star, sun, star. And we will always go to our query and run. Okay, so from the 210, we can see now we have 43 records. So when we go under yard name, we're saying as long as there's sun, so sun, and we have another word that comes after sun. So we are saying, I don't care what is after. So the star that we put after the star, after the sun, is taking care of this word to say, I don't care what comes after. And the star that we put before the word sun is the one that is bringing out also this record, because we are saying we don't care what is before as long as there is sun. So you can see that it's either the sun is somewhere in the middle. I don't care what is before, I don't care what is after, as long as there's sun continuous, as long as there's a continuous of that word sun, the sun. So that's why we have these fields here. Okay, and then when we go back to our question, now we can see that, yeah, we are done with the criteria, and that ends our query. So our query is done. We now have to save it and then use it to create the report. The report is going to start from that point going down. So from that point, we are only just saying from the point where our query started. So we are using the query. So it's like we are using this information that we have used to create the query. Use that query now to create the report. So going down from sorts, going down is going to be the report part. So we are going to go to our report. This is the query. We are going to save it, save, and we have it closed. Now we have two queries. Okay. So when we are now creating our reports, we need to be very sure of which query are we using. Okay, because they have the same name, it's just that the other one is one, the other one doesn't have. So you can be very mindful about this one. You can say question one, question two, so that you are so sure when you're now creating the query. Okay, to say which one am I using. Okay, and then always make sure that you work with a clean working area. Now create a report. Now we always go to report wizard and we use the query that we created, right? This one that we had, skipper name, YOB, cell yard name, make, class, group, handicap, points, and new points. Okay, so you put in everything, we hit on next, and then we always want this one that doesn't have any grouping. If by any chance yours is coming out like this, make sure you choose the other one that doesn't have any grouping and you click on next. Do you want to add any grouping? No, we don't want. We move on. And sorting, we do it at last, so we skip on that one. Then at this point, you are going to go back to your question paper and see that we want a tabular report, fine. And what orientation? Page has page orientation of landscape. So we want it to be landscape. So instead of portrait, you have to click on landscape like that. And then you click on next. Then here, always make sure that you don't forget this stage. This is the last stage in your report, and it only wants you to put the title. And it will be wiser for you to put the title here so that you don't have to worry about putting it later. What title do you want for your report? Then you put on the title. So here, it says fits a single page, white, and prints on 2 pages only. Includes the text morning race results as title displayed in larger font. So this is our title. Okay, so you can go ahead and type it. So I'm just copying and pasting because mine is a soft copy, but you will be typing it in. And then here we are, we have our report. Okay, so always remember that when we have our report coming out, the first thing is to make sure that everything is fitting in without leaving these hash symbols to show that the space isn't enough or cutting or fields. So you have to go back to home and go to your layout view. So the layout view is the place where you can easily arrange your things whilst you're actually seeing your fields and making sure that everything is showing up. Okay, you click the first one, you press on your control, and then you release the control, and then you stretch. You are now adjusting your things. Click the first one, click on control, release control, and then you stretch. We just have to make sure that everything is fitting in because we want this to fit on the page. You click on the first one. So you keep doing the same process till you are done and just making sure that nothing is being cut off, especially for the long names. Okay. We have to make sure that everything is going to fit in. So that's our hand cap. And then we can drag our hand cap down there so that we can push it in. We can see that our points is trying to come. Click on points, click on the points, and then you drag them in, drag them in. Okay, so this is our report, but you can see that from the fields that we have here, we don't have our the last field, we don't have our new points. But when we look at our query, if we go back to our query, we can see that after points, we had our new points there, and we have used this same query to create the report. So this is something that happens with creating of reports. If the space is not enough, it tends to discard the last field. So what do? We have to correct it, right? So there are different ways of correcting. So what we are going to do now is we are going to show one way of correcting this, a simple way of correcting this. What you can just do is we have our last field here as points. You go to your design. It's easier this way. So you're just going to go to your design. When you're in your design view, we highlight the last field, right? So you're highlighting the heading as well as the data. Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and then click on that gray corner there. Okay, so that's our field. Okay, so we want to push it up like that. Okay, and then we click on the gray square again and push it. Okay, so you realize that it's going to create some space here, so you need to drag it up, do the same. Right. So let's run this for now and see what it has done for us. So we go to our home. Let's see the view. Okay. So now we can see that we have 2 points that are now appearing. Okay. So we want this one to be the new points. Okay. So we can see that this is heading and this is the data. So we will start by changing the heading. The heading, it doesn't matter. We are just going to go there and change it. Manually just remove what is written as points and then write new points. So we are replacing points with new points. And then for the data, we'll do a different way. Okay. So let's go back to our report. On design. So we said under heading, we are just going to double tap in and we are just going to change it to new points. Okay. So that's our new points. We just want to try and align it like that. And then for the data now, you click on the new points for it because now this is the heading and it's now reading new points. So this data, this one is holding the data that carries this heading for new points. So when you click on it, you go on data. And then with that down arrow, you select the field that you want to use. Okay, so you can see that from control source, there are the names of the fields that make up this report. So you're going to click on new points to say this data, I want it to pick information from new points. So it's just the last. So when you click on it, you can see that it automatically changes the new points. So let's run and see how that is going to show. We can go to our layout, and then in our layout, you can see that now we have the data for new points. Okay, but we know that we had set also our new points to be integers. Okay, so we can go back and also then format it to carry integer values. Okay. So on decimal places where it says auto, we make sure that it's 0. We don't want any decimal places there. Okay, so we are also going to select on fixed so that it also remains as okay. So it's 0 decimal places and the format is fixed. Okay, so that it's also going to just show like that is okay. So this is our page with our report. Let's go back to our question paper. So we have done that. Now we are on display your name, sender number, and candidate number. And then when we are done with that, we then go on to put on the sorting. Okay, so your name, sender number, and candidate number, you write it in the page footer always. We put it on the page footer because we know that if a report has 2 pages and you put on the report footer, it's going to appear on the second page. So we will make sure that it comes on the first page. So this is our page footer, and equals now just stands for the date. Okay, so we can actually remove that to create space. We go on our report design, carry that label, and then you write your name. Okay, name, sender number, and candidate number so that it appears on your page footer. You can see that this is page footer, this is report footer, right? So you can click down there to show that you can create any space if you want to put anything on report footer. But your name, sender number, and candidate number appears on the page footer. Okay. And then now when you're done with this, that's when you can now add in your sorting. So you can see that from the design, there is this option here that actually says add a sort. So you can add a sort from this option here. You click on add a sort and it will ask you, you want to sort by what? So from our question paper, it's saying we have to sort into ascending order of yard name. Okay. So sort by field, we select yard name, and then the sorting, it said ascending, let's recheck. Ascending order, yes. So if it's ascending order, we're saying A on top, right? So A on top or smallest on top. So we are using A on top to sort on ascending order. And then we can go to our layout, just see our report. Nothing is cut, everything is showing. Our name, sender number, and candidate number there. Page 1 of 1. If we don't want to see anything on the footer, we can actually remove that the way we removed our date there, the equals now. And this is our report showing everything, and that is our title there. Okay, so this is the end of our report. question. Okay, so you can actually scroll and see your data. Okay, so this is the end of the database question on the November 2022 paper. You can also go ahead and try it out. Okay, so it's bye for now. We'll meet on a different question.